Hello everyone, my name is India Peace, and today we are going to talk about how the white supremacists win again. How are they continually shaping society? They use the same laws that sends thousands of black and brown people around the country to jail to get them off. I'm going to start off with Jacob Blake. This nightmare started with the tragic shooting of Jacob Blake by a police officer. Let me play this video for you guys.
Who shot the officer who shot the 29-year-old father in the back. Alex Perez is there with the very latest. And Alex, another night of protests.
Yeah, good morning, Cecilia. After 3 nights of violent and deadly protests, additional National Guardsmen were called in, and things were peaceful here overnight. Now, authorities this morning are telling us more about the officer who shot Jacob Blake. Authorities identifying the Kenosha officer seen in videos shooting Jacob Blake 7 times in the back as Rustin Shesky. Authorities say he's a 7-year veteran of the force. Investigators say before the shooting, Blake admitted to officers he had a knife. That knife was found on the floor inside of his vehicle. Now, separately, authorities have arrested 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse from neighboring Illinois.
So, from the video, Kyle claimed to drive 21 miles to protect property. But how a 17-year-old do you know, own properties across state lines? None, I tell you. He crossed state lines and illegally carried a weapon. Main objective was to murder the protesters of a Black Lives Matter who was protesting police brutality given the recent events of Jacob Blake. He literally had no real reason to come bother them people who were standing up for this wicked system. The charges filed against him were first-degree intentional homicide, first-degree reckless homicide, attempted first-degree intentional homicide, recklessly endangering the safety of others, count 1, and recklessly endangering the safety of others, count 2. Two Americas we live in. We live in two Americas here in the United States. The land of the free is not free unless you're white. Case in point, you have two 17-year-olds. Kyle carried an assault rifle and Trayvon Martin carried a 99-cent bag of Skittles. Kyle killed and injured 3 people, and all Trayvon did was walk in the rain with a hoodie on. Kyle was found not guilty, and Trayvon was killed simply because of the color of his skin by George Zimmerman, who, like Kyle, decided to take the law into their own hands, and like Kyle, George was found not guilty. Blame the victims. How is this their fault? They got shot at the protest by any armed gunman. So not only did he shoot and kill or injure unknown people, but the system placed the blame on the victims. During trial, the victims couldn't be referred to as victims. They were referred to as looters, rioters. Great way to victim shame, regardless, it was never proven that they were any of those things. That is how the court sees these innocent dead victims as. They spend more time concerned about the victim's past, which they know nothing about. They use the victim's past as a justification on why it's okay they got killed by a teenager who decided to take the law into his own hands, even though he didn't know these people at all. He was not guilty on all 6 charges. I know you're thinking, houseway. Here's how this could happen. For one, the judge on the case allowed him to pick which jurors to remove after they heard all parts of the testimony, randomly selecting jurors to remove using a comp. Before the jury, the judge dismissed the gun charges because he didn't like how it was worded. What happens when domestic abuse violence used the same defense? Thousands of women went to jail for self-defense. At least 230,000 women are incarcerated that are abuse survivors. At least 30% was charged with murder and manslaughter, even though they was defending themselves against sexual or physical attacks. People such as Santonio Brown was sentenced to life in prison for killing her sex trafficker, acted in self-defense. Thankfully, years later, her sentence was overturned. But think of how many more are just like her and are rioting away for simply standing up for themselves. They didn't go out looking for people to shoot and kill, but in fact, just killed a man who has been beating and raping them for years. How is their self-defense case isn't seen as self-defense, but Kyle Rittenhouse is? Help to bring an end to this. We need to rewrite the judicial system. It isn't designed to protect the innocent, but in fact, it enables these white supremacists to take the law into their own hands and make it victims responsible for it. In the words of Colin Kaepernick, we're just witness a system built on white supremacists violate the terrorist attacks of the white supremacists. This other further validation the needs to abolish our current system. White supremacists cannot be reformed. We need help to end this type of treatment in America.